worked so hard for something that it was all you could dream about or think about? Like you wanted to put everything into it because it was your dream and it was your lifetime goal. Well, if a scholarship or making an athletics team came to mind, that is definitely what I'm talking about. As an athlete, I know how hard it is to make a team or even receive a scholarship. Spots on a team are given because they are earned. And because of that, they are limited spots from school to school and sport to sport. Meaning, one sport may have 12 open spots, another sport like football would have a lot more. Well, athletes have to go above and beyond, wanting to learn more and put in extra time. They also have to manage the time they spend on schoolwork and homework, and they have to excel in the classroom. All of this while having practice or workouts every single day. It's pretty hard to earn that spot on that team, and everyone wants a fair shot. This brings me to drug testing student athletes. It is very well needed. Not all student athletes are being drug tested regularly, and that's not right. Kevin Brochu, writer of an article at the United States Sports Academy, he argues that it is not surprising that due to this popular image of what an athlete should look like, many of today's youth athletes are turning to illegal drugs at an alarming rate to achieve what they may consider a measure of success. It is not fair to other athletes who may have put in more work into accomplishing what they have. It's not fair to those who haven't taken illegal drugs to be where they are. But there's many other drugs besides performance-enhancing drugs. There's also drugs to make you feel good, which people do just because they think it's cool. Well, there's many ways to stop the drugs. We should be drug testing students that are athletes once a month at their schools, making the punishments more severe so that if they fail, they should be kicked off the team. I think this is very appropriate because it'll keep people out that don't need to be there for the right reasons. Well, you're asking why. It'll try to keep students out of trouble and onto the right path. Well, if they know they're going to be drug tested, they may not even be taking the drugs because they don't want to lose their spot or their chance of even getting on the team. And if they do get caught, it'll hopefully put them on the right path so they can learn from what they have done. Also, it'll hold students accountable for their responsibilities. If you're in high school or even college, you may be on your own, and you have many responsibilities to take care of, and this will help them out. Also, drug testing will keep a fair playing field. A psychiatrist, Dr. Keith Abloh, states, participating in a team sport is a privilege, not a right. You are given that spot on that team because it's something you've earned. It's not your right to play on that team. So it should be judged fairly on who gets to represent that team. Also, you want to represent your school well. Drug testing will keep the druggies out. If you go through the season and someone on the team has been drug tested and caught, that would not represent the team very well, neither the school. And you want to represent your teammates well, as well as your coaches, and as well as your whole school itself. There are many pros and cons for drug testing. The pros being that it'll sort out the players who are completely focused on the sport and those who aren't at all. Many people will be at practice because they want to be and they want to work hard. Others may be just good and their mind might be elsewhere after school just because they think something like taking drugs is cool or they want to be better so they take performance enhancing drugs. Also, you want to represent your school well and your team. Athletes are role models. Obviously. They're mainly for younger children, but who knows, you could be a role model for just your teammate and you don't even know it. Especially if you're a pro or in college, many people look up to you and you don't want to be down upon because of drugs getting caught. Well, there are many cons as well. Drug testing may take away some of the better players who just made the wrong choices. That would be really depressing if you were taking drugs and got caught. And that could have cost the season for your team. Also, drug testing will cost a lot of money for having them done once a month for each student in the athlete for each sport. And it would vary from sport to sport because of how many sports each school has. Also, there is a major health risk for taking drugs and drug testing. On August 27, 2006, Professor Gary Becker at the University of Chicago argues that performance enhancers like steroids or any other kind of drugs and forms of doping have a negative effect on long-term health. For then, users of these enhancers are hurting themselves in the long run. Not only are you risking the chance of getting cut off your team, you're hurting your body and yourself, where you might not even be able to play in the pros, say, if you make it that far. Well, for example, if an athlete is trying out, say there's 2 or 3 athletes trying out for one spot that's left on a certain team, or even one scholarship left. First guy comes and he does awesome. He is very well representing himself to the coaches. Say the next guy does awesome just as well. Well, there's something about him that the coaches like a little bit more, so they end up choosing the second guy. And let's say he does really well, starts every single game, and the last game of the season, he is ended up being drug tested before the game, and they find out that he's been taking drugs. And every single game he could have played in might be taken from that team. What if they had a winning season? How would the teammates feel? How would the coaches feel? And how would the school representative, president, or principal feel? Awful. That would not be good at all. This is why drug testing is very needed. It would be perfect to have it at the beginning of the season before everyone is on the team, because then they will be sorted out and nothing like that would happen. Athletes should be tested to keep an equal playing field. It's not fair to have an awesome guy on the team just because he's been taking drugs and then other players who are not making it fair. All athletes should have the same opportunity. A guy shouldn't make a team just because he's been taking drugs and that makes him better. It's not fair for the guy who's been working his butt off. And it should be not left up to the performance-enhancing drugs to determine the student's future. It's not fair for someone to make it to the pros or even the college just because of drugs. It's all the hard work and dedication that goes into it. More drug tests definitely need to be in place. Drugs are harmful in so many ways, so why even take them at all? You'll be wasting your dreams away if you don't even make it to your dreams because of that. And how depressing would that be, having so many stories to your future children or nieces or nephews on why you couldn't accomplish your dream? That would not be good. Harming other athletes' future because of legal decisions, that's not good either. How would you feel if you ever ruined another person's future because of yourself? Drug testing for student athletes is very negative.